Hi, everyone. I hope that you're all doing well and that you're enjoying the summit. Today is going to be a special workshop because it's quite an innovative feature that we'll be launching very soon. You have Elie, who is the CEO and co-founder of Colony.
Hi, everyone.
And myself, I'm Wessal, one of the co-founders of Colony and head of marketing. So what do we do at Colony? For those who don't know about Colony Lab, we're an Avalanche ecosystem accelerator. We do a lot of stuff at Colony. We have something that we call ecosystem farming. So if you're familiar with yield farming, we do ecosystem farming. And it allows our community to have access to the growth that is happening on Avalanche in multiple ways. So Colony invests in early stage projects. We provide liquidity to DeFi protocols. We also built the first yield bearing index token on Avalanche. And all of the value that we create is actually routed back to our community. And since we are very committed to inclusivity and decentralization, we've built a unique feature that is called early stage. And that's the one that we will be talking about today. It allows anyone to invest in seed and private cells alongside big VCs and big known funds. So to get started, we're going to talk about the problem. The problem is the early stage investment landscape is clearly broken. So as you know, the investment landscape in crypto is dominated by big VCs, and there is no room for me, you, and normal Joe to invest in these seed and private cells because they are reserved for VCs and elite funds and so on. So the issue is, if we have these big funds that have this high concentration of power, they use the community, who are clearly the user base and the lifeblood of projects, as exit liquidity in most times. So with Colony, what we're trying to do is really offer the opportunity for the community to have access to these deals, and that's what we will be speaking about today.
So about the solution, basically, with the community that is able to invest in seed and private sales stage, it enables projects to decentralize the cap table. So they have less risk of selling pressures from big VCs because they're already onboarding their users and their investors, their users from day one, right? So if you have Colony on your seed cap table, you have actually thousands of people that are able to invest in your seed, right? So that's very powerful. As of right now, we have about a bit more than 8,000 people staking on Colony. So it means that when you strike a deal with Colony, you strike a deal with potentially 8,000 people. For projects, it's very good because they're able to mitigate that selling pressure coming from VCs. For you guys, regular people, it's also having access to the growth happening on Web3 from the very beginning of it, right? So when you're going to invest in a project that just launched on a decentralized exchange, for example, or on an exchange, you are buying at the highest potential valuation. So by investing very early, you invest in very lower valuation, which is very appealing.
So now we're going to move forward and talk about how the Colony early stage feature works exactly. And to keep it simple, it works pretty much the same as like a normal investment process. So you would have deal flow. Then if the projects are good enough, they will move to analysis. Then after it, there is investment committee, and the final step, they will move to your portfolio. So that's exactly how we organized our app. And the very first step that we will be talking about is the deal flow. What that means is our community, which will be your investors and also your user base once your token is live, they will have access to the deal flow of the entire projects that are building on Avalanche, and they are raising funds. So pretty much we're giving you the same opportunity as a VC. You access the same information as a VC, and you can have all of the info on Colony's app. You can comment and upvote projects and so on. And what's amazing about it is that projects themselves can go on Colony and see the feedback that potentially the community is sharing in advance. So it allows you really to go and check like the feedback that you're getting from your future user base. So that's for the go ahead. You wanted
Yeah,
to say
just one thing to mention, if we can just go back real quick,
For sure.
is that you will see cars like this. So if you like potentially the project in the description, you can click on it, and then it's the next slide. Then you have all the information about the project. You have how much they want to raise, and so on. You have access to the documentation, and then you can then open the nests, which is basically the liquidity, the pool to fundraise capital on that project. And so it's really up to everyone to do the VC work, right? You already have all the deal flow coming on the platform, and then if you are interested in investing, you guys can do it, right? Alongside big VCs. That's all the on-chain infrastructure that we built to make sure it's possible for.
And of course, how does it work? For Colony, we have our CLY, our token, CLY. And basically, you need to stake your token, and you will have what we call, if it's going to work, on tokens. So on tokens represents the CLY that you have staked on our platform, and the on tokens is what you commit in this nest, which are like investment pools, as Elie said. And the ANT will have an USDC equivalent, and that's the allocation that you can say, I am interested in having in this project.
So the more CLY you stake, the more ANT you get, and therefore the more USDC you can commit in all these projects.
Yeah. Now we're going to move to the analysis phase, of course. So the projects that performed well on deal flow, meaning they've had like enough interest, registration with the ANTs and so on to really show that the community is really interested in moving this project to the next step of the investment process. They will be on analysis, and here the community will be able to do multiple things. First of all, they can rate the project. So instead of having one person doing the due diligence or two, you will have 8,000 people doing the due diligence for you. And what's great about it, the community can submit their rating, of course, for these projects, and they can also see the score that these projects have. So you will be able to really gauge the overall sentiment of the community in regards to these projects. So as you can clearly see here, there is multiple criteria that are super important for the due diligence. We have like regarding the product, is it just like a fork or is it highly innovative? And we also have like regarding the tokenomics, there is no utility, or like the tokenomics are quite smart, high utility, and so on. So once the community have like submitted their analysis and so on, and they've checked like the score and they're ready to move forward, they've already committed their ANTs, which shows that I am interested. What they can start doing in analysis is committing actually their USDC. So they will be like, okay, now I want like 1,000 or 8,000 or whatever you're interested in having in this seed or private. And of course, one of the questions you should be asking is, okay, we've built an inclusive platform. And that means if we want the participation to be as broad as possible, we would need to have an anti-whale mechanism. So for the anti-whale mechanism, your CLY staked and the ANT tokens that you have do not correlate directly with the max allocation that you could possibly have in this project. So that's how we built it on Colony. And the best part is that it's the entire process of the investment and so on, the entire feature is like fully on chain, highly scalable. Like we can have 1,000 projects like that is trying to like do their raise on Colony, and that wouldn't cause any issue because it's extremely scalable. And of course, we did this, as I've mentioned, because we believe in the ethos of inclusiveness. There is no minimum required to participate. So if you even want to have a $1 in a seed, you can possibly do that. And of course, there is a maximum allocation per user to promote the broader distribution of the token and so on. So we would make it a fair system for both small holders and big investors. And once the project has moved from the analysis phase, like everybody committed and there's like enough investment made, USDC commitments from the community, it would move to the next step, which is investment committee. So here we're going to, I'll let you talk about it.
Yeah, so then on this stage, basically the community raised capital already. So maybe you have, I don't know, like $300,000 on a. So here, for example, you have 1.2 million USDC committed by the entire community, by thousands of people. But the project only want to raise 200K. So then the team of Colony, and that's the only time in the process that we have to step in at some point. We're going to strike a deal with the project and ask them, do you guys want more money from Colony? Or depending on their fundraising and other investors, do you guys want to keep the 200K? And so on. So then we can adjust to make sure we have potentially the highest allocation possible, and to make sure everyone has, like Colony has the best value possible out of that deal. If we undershoot the target, let's say we only raise 100K, same thing. The project, we're going to check with the project, but they will have to accept like the 100K, which is lower than the initial ticket size that they wanted to have. Once that's done, and we agreed on the final numbers, the USDC will be on the smart contract, and the project will only get these USDC once they send their token on that contract, right? So it's very safe. You guys don't need to sign any SAFT. So SAFT stands for Simple Agreement for Future Tokens, which is what VCs are signing to get on early stage deals. Here, everything is built on-chain, so it's trustless, and you don't have to trust the project, right? They get the money once they send the token, right? And then the vesting schedule, the vesting contract is owned by Colony, and we apply the vesting schedule of the project, which enables us to then, I don't want to talk too much about it because we're going to talk about it afterwards, but we then create like a token that represents this allocation, and that's directly sent to investors for them to freely be able to trade their locked allocation on our decentralized exchange.
So once we've decided with the project, do they want to go with a higher like a race ticket, or this is like fine for them, the project will move to Colony's portfolio, and this is where the community will be able to see their allocation, their final allocation. They can claim their tokens and so on. And like the twist in this is that, of course, when we talk about seed and private, we all know that there's going to be long vestings in place. And Colony has built like a really unique feature that goes along our early stage feature that allows, as Elie said, the community or the investors to really trade securely their seed and private sales locked tokens. So actually, when you're on the portfolio section, what happens is you can have your, do we have it here? Yeah. You can have your, you will receive your entire allocation in the project, and we called it like CE token, Colony early token. So I invested in seed. I know that I have a long vesting of a year, but I will actually receive 100% of my allocation without a vesting. But it is not the real original token of the project. It's a representation of that token, and owning the CE token gives you the right to claim on the vesting contract the real token of the project. What's great about it is that you can actually, go ahead, you want to talk about it? What's great about it is that even before a token goes live, you will be able, if you're not interested in that allocation anymore, you can possibly sell it to another person who's interested and who will be able to be a long-term holder of the token. So that's like really great. Before even the token goes live, at the TGE and after, like when there is a cliff, so it's really making the primary market liquid. And once you want to swap like the CE token for the real project token, it will be based on the vesting contract. So you will go on the vesting contracts and say that I want to exchange this amount of CE token for the real project token because I want to do DeFi things with this with the project token. So yeah, as you can see here, people will be able to see the vesting if they want to swap for the real token or so. Here is like the multiple actions that they can take. You have, they will be able to claim their total allocation. They can swap it for the real token. And the best part is you can trade it. So to make it tradable, we've built it in the most simplest way, even though it was not that easy to build. It's on an AMM. So we wanted something that would speak to literally anyone. And what's better way to trade your CE tokens, your early stage allocation, if it's not on a DEX. So everybody knows how to use a DEX, and that's why we wanted to build it on a DEX. As you can see here, you have the Colony decentralized DEX to trade your locked tokens freely and in a very unlimited way.
Yeah, so it's fairly simple. It's like if you guys are using Trader Joe, it works the same way, for example. So you put the token that you want to trade against what you want to trade it, and you just put a number, you put swap, and the transaction will basically go through. It's always going to be liquid, because on the CE token distribution initially, once the fundraising is completed, automatically there is a set of smart contracts that will create the liquidity pool and the farm on our DEX. And so about 10% of all CE tokens will be sent to the farm, which will then incentivize people to provide the CE tokens that they got and some AVAX as liquidity to make sure they get as much CE token as possible, because the APR and APY on that is going to be pretty high at first. So maybe we can go to the liquidity pool side. So then you have the liquidity pools here. So people will see what is the current APR. So they receive the CE tokens for the project that they invested in. And they can click on detail, they can click on it, they will then be able to provide the liquidity. And once they provide the liquidity, we ask them to stake that liquidity, which means that they will get access to that APR that is on the farm. Sorry if it's a bit complex on this, but we built it in a way that it's fairly simple for users to know what they have to do next. And then once they stake that liquidity, they just have to claim the rewards, right? So basically, you'll go on Colony liquidity side, and you can claim whenever you want all your rewards, right? Maybe we have the next one. So if you open like a pool, you will see what is inside the pool. You will be able to provide the liquidity, then you'll be able to stake the liquidity. It's fairly simple. It's like how it works in any other DEXs right now. That works on the AMM model. And yeah, so by design, you will always be able to trade your CE tokens or your allocation against AVAX, right? There will always be liquidity there. So if you are invested in that seed as an early investor through Colony, you'll be able to sell that if you want to. And if you didn't manage to invest in that one, you will still be able to have access to it through the DEX, because you will be able to buy that CE token. And the project is maybe going live in about, I don't know, like 2 months. But you'll still be able to be kind of early, right? Because the project is not live yet. And of course, as soon as the project goes live, well, that project token is going to trade on an exchange, but at the same time, the CE token is still going to be trading on Colony, right? So there will be like a natural arbitrage opportunity for people to, if the CE token is below the real token price, to buy the CE token, then go claim on the vesting contract, and then sell that token or not, if they want to.
So yeah, as Elie said, like we built it in a way that it's accessible to anyone. You can be like a simple investor who wants just to be part of the seed and the private sale of a project, and you don't have to do like all of the trading and so on. You can just basically swap for the real token, or you will be like a little bit more advanced of an investor, and you will be able to swap like for the real token at specific times, because you will be, you know that there's like an arbitrage opportunity. So there's a lot of things that you can do on this feature. And one more thing, Elie talked about like the CE token distribution, because we know there's like two different investors. There are active investors and passive investors. If you are just a CLY staker, you would still be getting like 8% of like the CE tokens that are airdropped to you just because you're holding our token. So you would still be able to be part of a seed and private just by holding like our token without going through the entire process. It's just that it's 8%. You're not choosing your own allocation and how much exactly you want to be your ticket. You want your ticket to be on a seed or private.
yeah, you can be very active and try to participate in the growth happening on Web3 through Colony, or you can, with very specific like investments from your own capital, or you can just sit back, relax, and get all these CE tokens distributed to you, because at the end of the day, you are staking CLY, so you're part of the Colony, and so you're very valuable, and you get these CE tokens for free, because you're part of the DAO kind of.
Yeah, so we've built this because when we started Colony, we really had this inclusive idea of building a decentralized VC that puts the community at its very heart. And honestly, last year when there was the fall of very prominent projects like 3AC, FTX Ventures, and so on, we've seen a lot of projects really suffer from that because, well, the power is centralized in the hands of few VCs, and that really hurts the projects. And beyond that, as I've said earlier, when we introduced the feature, is like the community is like the lifeblood of the project. That's your user base. So if you're putting your user base very early in the process of building, raising money for your projects and so on, it really allows you to have, first of all, a user base that is acquired from the very beginning. Great feedback from the community that is that is rating your project and sharing their feedback. So when you hear like feedback from 8,000 people, of course you can filter it. That's really great because you can really change your models and so on in a way that would answer the needs of the users that you will be pushing your project for at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So.
And I've been working in crypto for like the past 10 years, and this has never been built before. So it's really like enabling anyone to invest in seeds, seed round, very early stage. And I think it's very much needed. And also founders, and we talk with a lot of founders every week, they really want to have something like that, right? Because for them, it's amazing. They don't have to take a risk on 1 or 2 or 3 VCs. It's really like thousands of people that they're letting access to their cap table.
And one of the things that you currently can see on the screenshots, and that adds up to I have an initial community, but how this community can help me gain more exposure over social media and so on. On the cards, like the people who are investing in it, they can click on like share over Twitter or so. I just invested in this project, or this project is raising a certain amount on Colony. Check them out and so on. So it's like 8,000 people that are given exposure to your project before it goes live. So yeah.
And this is going to go live in about like...
couple of months.
Yeah, we can't say exactly, but everything is already ready from the backend side. All the smart contracts are working perfectly. It's on testnet right now. We had like amazing feedback from the community. We're just doing like final little tweaks, on the front end side to make sure the experience is top notch. But yeah, and we have like good projects already lined up. We have few subnets that will fundraise through Colony in the coming month. So I don't want to share too much right now, but it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, we're definitely excited about it. And I think we're at the very end. So here you can scan it. You will have a playlist that shows like the early stage feature and like everything you need to know about it. It's like YouTube videos, very explaining all the details that you would need about Colony. If you don't know about us, give us a follow on Twitter. Check out what we do, and I think we can open it for the questions now.
So you guys mentioned having a DEX and doing some liquidity pools. So I'm kind of wondering what kind of protections you guys have on impermanent loss, just because I know that a lot of retail investors might not be aware of that kind of situation and may suffer because of the natural volatility of these tokens.
Yeah, so on this, basically, the impermanent loss is going to be there, for sure, because it's a regular AMM model. The thing is, there will be like the farm, so there will be like high APR. So it's kind of mitigated, at least on one side of it. So that's how, basically. Okay, so the initial liquidity, everything will be bootstrapped to make sure that users don't do mistakes and stuff like that. Everything will be bootstrapped right after the fundraise. It's all is automated on the smart contract level. So automatically everything is on-chain. Everything that you saw here, it's purely on-chain, right? All the data that we store, everything is on-chain to make sure it's highly scalable. So if people, like, for now, the market is pretty calm, right? But let's say there is a bull run in about 3 years from now. If the community wants to fundraise, I don't know, like 10 seed rounds per week, which is huge, right? It will be possible, right? And since it's highly decentralized, the way we build it, you don't even have to rely on us, on the core team. As of now, you just have to rely on the core team to just assess on the investment community side if you guys raise way too much, way above the raise target, to make sure that we can step in and do the arbitration and make sure we don't overinvest in some projects, right? But yeah, that's the way it works.
Do you vet the projects that invest coming in, or?
Yeah, that's a super good question. So basically, the way it's built, it's trustless, permissionless. So anyone can register on it, right? It can be like you can have like thousands of projects. But obviously, at first, we want to gauge the system to make sure there's only good projects, to not waste the time of the community and to make sure things are done the proper way. So at first, it's going to be highly gated. People can apply, and then the core team will review. We already made like close to 20 investments, so we have a team internally that is reviewing all these deck and documentation from the projects. So at first, we're only going to put like very good thing. Then if the community appetite is very strong, then we can be a bit less selective and let the community do their investment.
And in the scenario where like the community wants to add projects by themselves over there, and like we're opening it more and more to the community, so moving towards a DAO completely, there's going to be projects that are on the Colony app that are called like Colony certified. So for sure that Colony has already met this team. We've did our own due diligence and so on. You would still need to do your due diligence for sure, but you would at least make the difference between Colony certified projects and the projects that are trying to raise through our platform, because we're a service provider. So it really depends on what the community will ask for in the coming months and next years.
Hey, so we're a newly built project that's probably deploying on Avalanche. We don't have a token. Can you only raise equity at the moment? If you're not doing a token raise, can you come to Colony?
So as of now, everything that we showed, everything is on chain, right? So if you want to keep that trustless, environment, it's going to be token, right? The thing that we can do, we can have like a private talk, and if there is like equity with token warrant, for example.
There is token warrants.
So then we can step in. So Colony has like a fund of a bit more than 10 million. Mm-hmm. So we also write checks directly. But
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we check out and all that. So
cool.
So I love that you guys have an anti-whale mechanism, just so you can have more inclusivity. But if I remember correctly, there's no KYC to purchase and use Colony. So how do you guys combat if people were to make multiple wallets? I know it'll take a lot of time and effort, but I don't put it behind some people. So.
Yeah, so on that, we put like a lot of efforts on building all of this. So we want to be fully compliant with on a regulatory framework. So if you want to be a passive investor, that's fine. If you want to be a bit more active, the system is gated, and we will need to ask like some information about the people.
So KYC is coming to
so there will be like a KYC for all the things. Otherwise, this is not possible and this is not legal, right? So we just have to comply on that front for sure.
That's great.
Yeah, that was it. Go ahead.
Any more questions?
What's the math, the ANT token, CLY token, ANT token, and the the USDC equivalent? So and the CLY price can fluctuate technically. So and follow-up question on that. Let's say that I staked CLY tokens and I got a distribution amount, whatever, $10,000 worth. I keep my stake, that $10,000 worth of stake, and I have to come up with an additional 10,000 for the investment, right? Is that how it works?
Yeah, so if you're passive investor, you can just stake your CLY on the staking contract, and a lot of things will be airdrop on the staking contract. So 8% of all CE token emitted will go to that staking contract. So with doing nothing, you will get a lot of tokens on your wallet. Then you can sell them if you want on our DEX, right? So if you want to be way more active than that, you will have to use, so when you stake CLY, for each CLY you stake, you get 100 N token, right? So then you take this 100 N token, and the USDC value linked to it may differ, right, through time. Yeah, but that's fine, right? And you commit your N token, and then to be able to commit more USDC, you will have to be able to commit more N token. And we can set the parameters a bit differently for each fundraising to make sure we are able to, still work with the ethos of inclusiveness that we have, to make sure, it's not like only early comers that get all the allocations, but there are also room for newcomers, if that makes sense.
And the reason why it's like 1 CLY, 100 on tokens is just because on our app, if there's going to be like multiple projects trying to raise and so on, you need a lot of on tokens to show that interest. But what's great about it is that your on tokens are not going to be locked forever. So actually, when you commit your on tokens in a project, at the moment that you're saying, okay, I'm putting my USDC equivalent for these on tokens, your on tokens are sent back directly to your wallet. So you can use them on other projects raising on Colony. I hope this answers your question. Yeah? All good? No. Well, thank you everyone, and hope you're going to enjoy the summit.